The polar vortex is on the move, and when that happens, the entire weather pattern across North America shifts with it. Let me show you what's happening, why it matters, and what you can expect over the next 2 weeks. Start with the big picture. Temperature anomalies in northern Alaska right now are running 50 degrees below normal. Wind chills have dropped to 66 below zero. That's the kind of cold that is hard to even comprehend unless you've experienced it. Your breath freezes instantly, metal becomes brittle. Exposed skin develops frostbite in under 5 minutes. That Arctic air mass has been locked up north for weeks. But the atmospheric circulation pattern that kept it bottled up in Alaska is breaking down. By next Tuesday, January 20th, the center of the tropospheric polar vortex shifts from Alaska to Hudson Bay in eastern Canada. When that repositioning happens, the United States gets a direct pipeline to Arctic air. This isn't a guesswork. The European model shows it. The American GFS model shows it. The Canadian model shows it. When major forecast models agree on a pattern shift 7 to 10 days out, that's a strong signal. Now, contrast that Arctic cold with what's been happening across much of the lower 48. Idaho has experienced one of its warmest winters on record. Temperature departures running 15 to 20 degrees above normal for weeks on end. What should be winter has felt more like early spring. Frustrating if you are a skier, a snowmobiler, or someone who just expects winter to feel like winter. The western states have been caught under persistent high pressure, what meteorologists call a ridge. This ridge has blocked storm systems from moving through, keeping conditions warm and dry. Fire danger has been elevated. Snowpack in the mountains is well below normal. Water managers are already concerned about summer supplies. That pattern is about to change, though the timing and extent of that change varies by region. Let's walk through what's happening day by day, because the evolution of this pattern tells an important story. Today, Tuesday the 13th, a winter storm is moving through southeast Canada. Ontario and Quebec are dealing with snow, hazardous roads, reduced visibility. Nothing unprecedented for mid-January in that region, but it is producing 3 to 5 inches across a wide area, with some locations seeing 6 to 8 inches where the snow bands set up. The more significant development is happening just south of that system across the Great Lakes. Lake effect snow is beginning to organize. These are the narrow bands of heavy snow that form when cold air moves across the relatively warm waters of the Great Lakes. The water temperature differential creates instability, clouds form, and snow falls in very concentrated areas. South central Wisconsin was seeing rain this morning. By afternoon, that rain was changing to snow. That's the transition happening in real time. Cold air is filtering in from the north, and the character of the precipitation is changing. By Wednesday morning, lake effect snow bands will be well established across western lower Michigan and northwest Indiana. These aren't widespread snow events. They re-narrow corridors of heavy snow, sometimes just 5 or 10 miles wide, where snowfall rates can reach 1 to 2 inches per hour. Drive into one of these bands and visibility drops to near zero within minutes. Drive out of the band and the sun might be shining. If you live in traditional lake effect snow areas, you know how this works, but it is worth repeating for anyone who might be traveling through these regions. Lake effect snow is deceptive. Weather forecasts might show light snow for the broader area, but within those narrow bands, conditions are completely different. Whiteout conditions, snow-covered roads, multi-car pileups are common when people adjust their driving for the conditions. Western New York, the snow belt from Buffalo through Watertown, will see similar setups. The Tug Hill Plateau, which regularly gets buried under lake effect snow, could see 12 to 15 inches from some of these bands. Upstate New York knows how to handle snow, but even there, this much snow in a short period creates problems. Thursday brings an interesting development. The southern edge of the cold air pushes far enough south that we could see snow showers reaching into North Carolina. Raleigh, Charlotte, these aren't cities that see snow frequently in January. Virginia Beach, Delaware, southern New Jersey, Atlantic City, all have a chance of seeing snow showers Thursday into Friday morning. Will this be a major snow event for these areas? No. We're talking about light accumulations, maybe an inch or two at most, possibly just a coating. But any snow in these regions typically causes disruptions. Roads get slick quickly, traffic slows down, schools sometimes close even for minor amounts. The system moves offshore Friday morning and attention turns to the next wave of energy dropping down from Canada. These are called Alberta Clippers, storm systems that form in western Canada and slide quickly southeastward across the northern United States. Individually, they are not major storms, but we have several of them lined up over the next week, and their cumulative impact adds up. Friday into Saturday, the first clipper moves through, 2 to 4 inches of snow across parts of the northern plains, upper Midwest, and Great Lakes. Not enough to shut things down, but enough to require snow removal and careful driving. Sunday brings the coldest air of this outbreak. This is when temperature anomalies could reach 20 to 25 degrees below normal across a large portion of the country. Let us put actual numbers to this. Minneapolis, Sunday morning lows around -10 to -15. Wind chills approaching -30. That dangerous cold that requires serious preparation. Chicago, as I mentioned, will see temperatures around -5 for the Bears playoff game Sunday afternoon. Wind chills near 0. If you re-attending that game, layer your clothing, wear insulated boots, bring hand warmers. 70,000 people sitting in an open-air stadium in those conditions. Medical staff will be busy with cold-related issues. Detroit, Cleveland, Buffalo, similar numbers. Morning lows in the -5 to -10 range. Wind chills well below 0. Even areas that don't typically see extreme cold will feel this. Pittsburgh, Columbus, Indianapolis, morning lows in the single digits. Wind chills below 0. The cold extends into New England. Boston could see wind chills around 5 to 10 degrees. Hartford, Providence, similar numbers. These aren't record-breaking temperatures for mid-January, but they significantly colder than what we've experienced so far this winter. The mid-Atlantic gets brushed by the cold. Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, morning lows in the low 20s, wind chills in the teens. Again, not extreme, but a notable change from recent mild conditions. This cold air doesn't just arrive and leave. It settles in and persists. Monday and Tuesday of next week, the cold continues across the eastern two-thirds of the country, highs struggling to reach the teens in the upper Midwest, 20s across the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes, 30s in the mid-Atlantic. For the southern states, the cold is less pronounced. Highs in the 40s and 50s rather than the 60s and 70s you've been experiencing. Northern sections of Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee might see morning lows dipping into the 20s. That's cold enough to require protection for sensitive plants and outdoor plumbing. Now let us talk about what happens beyond this initial cold outbreak, because this is where the forecast becomes particularly compelling. Multiple atmospheric indicators are aligning for an active weather pattern in late January. When I say multiple indicators, I am talking about independent factors that all point toward the same outcome. That increases confidence. First indicator, the Madden-Julian Oscillation. This is a tropical weather phenomenon that moves around the equator and influences global weather patterns. Right now, it's moving from Phase 7 into Phase 8. Historically, when the MJO is in phases 7, 8, 1, or 2, North America tends to see below normal temperatures and more active storm systems. We re-entering that favorable window at exactly the right time. Second indicator, the polar vortex repositioning over Hudson Bay. I mentioned this earlier, but it's worth emphasizing. When the coldest air on the continent is positioned over Hudson Bay instead of northern Alaska, it's much easier for that cold air to spill southward into the United States. The geography and atmospheric circulation patterns favor that southward movement. Third indicator, a strong Kelvin wave is moving across the Pacific Ocean from west to east. This can activate the subtropical jet stream. All winter, we've been dominated by the polar jet stream, bringing cold, dry air from Canada. The subtropical jet has been weak and inactive. The subtropical jet is crucial because it taps into Pacific moisture and, when conditions are right, Gulf of Mexico moisture. Without it, we get cold and dry weather. With it, we get cold and snowy weather. That's the difference we are looking for. Fourth indicator, high latitude blocking is developing. Without getting too technical, this means areas of high pressure are setting up in the far North Atlantic and potentially over Greenland. This blocking pattern slows down the progression of storm systems. Instead of racing across the country in 24 to 48 hours, storms slow down, intensify, and have time to organize. Put all four of these factors together, and you have a pattern that historically favors winter storms across the central and eastern United States. The time frame we re-watching is January 24th through the end of the month. That's 11 to 18 days from now. Can I tell you exactly where a storm will track or how much snow specific cities will receive? Absolutely not. Anyone who claims to know that with certainty at this range is not being honest. What I can tell you is the pattern looks favorable. The European Extended Ensemble model shows multiple opportunities for winter weather across the Central Plains, the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Northeast. The American GFS Extended Ensemble shows similar patterns, though with some differences in timing and intensity. These extended models aren't meant to predict specific storms. They meant to show patterns and trends. Think of it like a long-range weather outlook for planning purposes. If you are trying to decide whether to schedule outdoor work for late January, the extended models suggest you might want to have a backup plan for winter weather. They can tell you whether it'll snow on the 26th or the 28th, or whether you will get 4 inches or 10 inches. The regions most likely to see significant winter weather during this late January period: the Central Plains from Kansas up through Nebraska, the Ohio Valley, including Kentucky, southern Ohio, Indiana, the Midwest from Iowa through southern Wisconsin and Michigan, the Mid-Atlantic from the Virginias up through Maryland and Delaware, and the Northeast, including Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, and the New England states. Does this mean every location in those regions gets a major snowstorm? No. It means the pattern is favorable for winter weather. Some areas will get hit, some will miss, some might see multiple events. The specifics become clear only when we are 3 to 5 days away from an individual storm system. Let me address the elephant in the room. Some of you have been watching for a major northeast snowstorm all winter. Every week, there's talk about the potential for a nor'easter, and every week it doesn't materialize or it misses the major cities. The frustration is understandable. Part of the issue is that coastal storms require very specific conditions to develop and track in a way that brings heavy snow to the I-95 corridor. You need cold air in place. You need a storm system to form off the coast. You need that storm to track close enough to bring precipitation, but not so close that it's too warm for snow. And you need the storm to slow down and intensify rather than racing out to sea. So far this winter, we haven't gotten all those ingredients in the right place at the right time. The pattern for this weekend still doesn't look favorable for a major coastal storm, despite some early hints last week. The northern and southern jet streams aren't phasing together. The systems are moving too quickly. It's looking more like scattered snow showers and light accumulations rather than a significant snowstorm. But the late January pattern is different. The blocking I mentioned earlier could slow down storm systems. The subtropical jet activation could provide moisture. The polar vortex position provides cold air. All the ingredients have a better chance of coming together. I am not promising a major snowstorm. I am saying the pattern looks more favorable than anything we've seen so far this winter. Hope for the best, prepare for possibilities, but don't count on anything until we are much closer. Let's shift to practical matters, because pattern discussions don't help much if you're not prepared for what is coming this week. Cold weather preparation starts at home. Your heating system is about to work harder than it has all winter. When was the last time you changed your furnace filter? A dirty filter reduces efficiency by 20 to 30%. It also increases the risk of system failure. Filters cost $5 to $15. A service call on a Sunday during a cold snap costs hundreds of dollars. Do the math. Check your thermostat batteries if you have a programmable thermostat. Dead batteries during a cold snap means no heat. Keep your thermostat set to the same temperature day and night during extreme cold. The energy you save by lowering it at night doesn't offset the extra energy required to reheat in the morning when it's -10 outside. Insulation matters more in extreme cold. Heat loss through attics, basements, and poorly sealed windows costs money and makes your home uncomfortable. You probably can redo your insulation this week, but you can identify problem areas. Feel for drafts around windows and doors. Use weather stripping or temporary solutions. Put plastic sheeting over windows in unused rooms. Pipes in unheated areas are your biggest risk when temperatures drop below zero and stay there. Basement crawl spaces, exterior walls, unheated garages. Let faucets drip slightly during the coldest nights. Moving water is much less likely to freeze than standing water. Open cabinet doors under sinks to allow warm air to circulate around pipes. If you have a fireplace, make sure the flue is closed when not in use. An open flue is like leaving a window open. If you plan to use your fireplace, have it inspected if you haven't used it in years. Creosote buildup causes chimney fires. Stock your pantry with food that doesn't require cooking in case of power outages. Winter storms and extreme cold can bring down power lines. Canned goods, crackers, peanut butter, things you can eat without heating. Keep water on hand as well. 3 days' worth is a reasonable target. Medications. If you on prescription medications, make sure you have enough to last through a potential multi-day storm or cold event where you might not be able to get out. Pharmacies might be closed or inaccessible. For vehicle preparation, antifreeze is critical when temperatures drop below zero. Have your antifreeze tested. It degrades over time. What protected your engine to -10 last year might only protect to +10 now. Antifreeze is cheap. Engine repairs are not. Battery health becomes crucial in cold weather. Cold reduces battery capacity. A battery that starts your car fine in 40-degree weather might fail at -10. If your battery is more than 4 or 5 years old and you heading into sustained cold, consider replacing it proactively. Keep your gas tank at least half full. This prevents moisture from forming in your fuel lines. It also gives you more range if you get stranded. Sitting in a running vehicle to stay warm uses more gas than you think. Winter emergency kit for your vehicle. Blankets, non-perishable food, water, flashlight with extra batteries, first aid kit, ice scraper, small shovel, jumper cables, phone charger. Add cat litter or sand for traction if you get stuck. A bag of kitty litter costs $3 and can save you hours of being stuck in a snowbank. If you do get stuck in snow, don't spin your wheels. That just digs you deeper. Rock the vehicle back and forth gently. Put something under the drive wheels for traction, cat litter, floor mats, cardboard. If you can get unstuck quickly, stay with your vehicle. Run the engine periodically for heat, but make sure the exhaust pipe isn't blocked by snow. Carbon monoxide kills people every winter who get stranded in snow. For those in regions that don't typically see significant cold, preparation looks different but is equally important. Gulf Coast residents, when temperatures drop into the 30s, protect outdoor faucets. Disconnect garden hoses, cover exterior spigots with insulated faucet covers. They cost a few dollars at any hardware store. Bring sensitive plants indoors or cover them. Tropical plants and citrus trees can be damaged or killed by temperatures in the 30s, even if it doesn't freeze. If you have pets that normally spend time outdoors, bring them in during extreme cold. Dogs can develop frostbite on their paws. Cats seek warmth and sometimes crawl up into car engines. Bang on your hood before starting your car on cold mornings if you have outdoor cats in your neighborhood. Elderly neighbors and relatives need extra attention during cold weather. Older adults are more vulnerable to hypothermia. They may not heat their homes adequately due to cost concerns or because they don't feel the cold as acutely. Check on them. Make sure they have food, medications, and adequate heat. Homeless populations are at extreme risk during Arctic outbreaks. If your community has warming centers or shelters, know where they are and what their capacity is. If you see someone outside in dangerous cold who appears to be in distress, call emergency services. Now let me address some specific regional concerns because I know different parts of the country are dealing with different issues. Pacific Northwest, UV had an unusually quiet winter. Seattle's snowpack in the Cascades is well below normal. Portland hasn't seen typical winter precipitation. This matters beyond just winter recreation. Water supply for summer depends on mountain snowpack. Dry winters lead to water restrictions and increased fire risk later in the year. The extended outlook doesn't show dramatic improvement in the near term. February might bring some changes, but that's still uncertain. Northern Rockies, the temperature swings you've been experiencing are tough on everyone. 70 degrees one day, 20 degrees 3 days later, back to 50 degrees. People report being sick for weeks. Sinus problems, headaches, general fatigue. This isn't in your head. Rapid temperature changes stress the body. The good news is the pattern shows more stability late in the month, even if that stability means sustained cold. Upper Midwest, you are about to experience legitimate winter. Extended periods of sub-zero temperatures, multiple snow events, lake effect snow in favored areas. This is what January is supposed to look like in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. If you've been waiting for real winter, it's arriving. If you've been hoping winter would skip you this year, that hope is fading. Ohio Valley, you've been quiet most of the winter. That changes. The pattern turning active late in the month puts you in a favorable position for winter weather. The question is whether you get snow or ice. Temperature profiles in late January storms often set up in that marginal range where precipitation type becomes critical. Snow is manageable, ice is dangerous and destructive. We'll watch this closely as we get closer. Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, the coastal storm situation for this weekend doesn't look promising for major snow. But the late January period offers better potential. Pattern recognition suggests opportunities for winter weather. Whether that translates to actual snowstorms depends on factors we can't determine yet. Southeast, you are on the warm edge of most systems. You all feel the cold compared to recent conditions, but significant winter weather is less likely. Northern sections of the Carolinas, Virginia, Tennessee might see winter precipitation if systems track favorably, but it's not a high probability scenario. Gulf Coast, you've been warm and humid. Temperatures well above normal, occasional severe weather. The cold air moving south will feel dramatic compared to what you've experienced, but we are talking about highs in the 40s and 50s rather than Arctic cold. Protect sensitive vegetation and outdoor plumbing, but you're not facing the same challenges as northern areas. Southwest, the dry pattern continues. This is problematic for water supply and fire risk. The extended models show hints of pattern changes in early February, but nothing dramatic yet. Arizona, New Mexico, you need precipitation, and you're not getting it. Let me talk about something that doesn't get discussed enough in weather forecasts: the mental and emotional toll of winter, particularly for older adults. Winter is hard. Cold weather makes arthritis worse. Snow and ice create fall risks. Shorter days affect mood. Heating costs strain budgets. Social isolation increases when it's harder to get out. If you dealing with these challenges, you not alone. Seasonal affective disorder is real. Reduced sunlight in winter affects brain chemistry. If you find yourself feeling more depressed or fatigued than usual, that recognized medical condition. Light therapy helps some people. Getting outside during daylight hours, even briefly, makes a difference. Talk to your doctor if you're struggling. For those with limited mobility, winter presents additional challenges. Icy walkways are dangerous. Getting to medical appointments becomes harder. Grocery shopping requires more planning. Ask for help when you need it. Most communities have services for elderly residents who need assistance. Use them. The good news, if you can call it that, is we repassed the winter solstice. Days are getting longer. We've gained nearly 30 minutes of daylight since December 21st. By the end of January, we'll have gained another 30 minutes. The angle of the sun is increasing. Spring is coming, even if it doesn't feel like it right now. We're about 10 weeks from the spring equinox, 10 weeks from equal day and night, 12 to 14 weeks from consistent warm weather in most areas. It's a countdown, but there is an endpoint. Here is what to watch over the coming days and weeks. Wednesday and Thursday, lake effect snow creates localized problems across the Great Lakes. Know whether you're in a favored snowband area. If you are, prepare for significant accumulations and difficult travel. Friday through the weekend, focus on the cold. Sunday is the coldest day for most areas. Adjust plans accordingly. If you have outdoor activities scheduled, reconsider or prepare extensively. Early next week, Monday through Wednesday, we continue monitoring the cold and watching for additional clipper systems bringing snow to northern areas. Then we shift attention to late January the 24th through the end of the month, where the pattern shows higher potential for winter weather across a broader area of the country. I'll continue providing updates as we move closer to these timeframes. Short-range models will give us better detail on specific systems 3 to 5 days out. For now, we're relooking at patterns and trends, which is appropriate for the time frame we are discussing. Final thought: weather forecasting has limitations. We're better at it than we've ever been, but we're not perfect. The atmosphere is complex. Small changes can lead to big differences in outcomes. That is the nature of the system we are trying to predict. What we can do is provide you with the best available information, explain the reasoning behind it, acknowledge uncertainty where it exists, and update as conditions change. Some forecasts have high confidence, others have lower confidence. I'll always try to be clear about that distinction. The overall picture for the next 2 weeks: genuine winter arrives across much of the country. Cold air settles in and persists. Multiple opportunities for snow across northern areas. Potential for more significant winter weather late in the month across a broader region. Prepare for what's coming this week. Stay informed about what might develop later in the month. Take care of yourself and those around you. We'll get through this together. Stay warm, stay